The Greek myth's history quietly forgot. A relaxing story for deep sleep. Have you ever wondered if the greatest secret in Greek mythology was never a monster, never a hero, and never even a god? What if the oldest story of ancient Greece wasn't lost by accident? What if someone wanted it to disappear? For thousands of years, people have told the famous tales of Zeus, Athena, and Hercules. But hidden beneath those well-known legends are quieter stories that almost no one remembers anymore. Stories that slowly faded from memory until they became little more than whispers carried by the night wind. And tonight, instead of following the myths everyone knows, we are taking a different path, a peaceful path that leads toward the stories history quietly left behind. Before we begin our journey, make yourself comfortable. Let your body become heavy and allow the busy thoughts of the day to drift away. Take a slow, gentle breath in and breathe out just as slowly. There is nowhere you need to be right now. Nothing is asking for your attention. Only the soft sound of this story, the quiet rhythm of your breathing, and the peaceful world of ancient Greece waiting just beyond your imagination. Now picture a warm summer night nearly 3,000 years ago. The moon hangs low above gentle hills covered with olive trees. A cool breeze moves through their silver leaves, making a soft sound that seems almost like distant voices. Below the hills, quiet villages rest beside calm rivers, while white marble temples shine gently beneath the stars. Everything feels peaceful. Everything feels still. Yet somewhere beyond these familiar places, there is a road that very few people have ever walked. Most travelers never noticed it. Time had almost hidden it beneath wild grass and smooth stones. It led away from the great cities, away from the busy temples, and deep into the silent mountains where even the birds seemed to sing more softly. The people living nearby rarely spoke about that road, not because they were afraid of monsters or angry gods, but because they believed it led to something far stranger, a place where forgotten stories were waiting for someone willing to listen. At the end of that lonely path stood a small stone sanctuary, untouched by crowds and almost forgotten by history. Ivy climbed slowly across its old walls, while tiny white flowers grew between cracked marble steps. Every evening, as darkness settled across the mountains, a single lantern glowed inside the little building. Its golden light was gentle, almost welcoming, yet no one could explain who lit it night after night. The villagers spoke quietly about an old storyteller who lived there alone. No one knew when he had arrived. Some believed he had lived there for many years. Others smiled and whispered that he had always been there, patiently waiting while kingdoms rose and disappeared, while famous heroes became legends, and while the world slowly forgot the stories he protected. People who visited him never returned with treasure, magical weapons, or secret powers. Instead, they came home carrying something much more valuable. They carried a story they had never heard before, a story so old that it seemed to belong to another world, a story that felt strangely familiar, as though their hearts had remembered it long before their minds did. Inside the storyteller's quiet home rested a single weathered scroll wrapped in faded blue cloth. Its edges were worn by time, but it had been carefully protected for countless generations. The old man believed it contained myths that were never written inside the great temples of Greece. These were stories shared only in quiet voices beneath the stars, passed from one listener to another until, little by little, the world stopped telling them. Tonight, after centuries of silence, that forgotten scroll is about to be opened once again. But as the old storyteller gently reaches for the faded ribbon holding it closed, he quietly says something that sends a small chill through the peaceful night. Some stories are forgotten because people stop believing in them, but a few are forgotten because they were never meant to be remembered. And with those words, the first forgotten myth begins. The old storyteller rested his hands on the faded blue scroll for a long moment. He did not open it right away. Instead, he smiled gently, as though he were remembering someone he had not seen in many years. "The first story," he whispered, "does not begin with a god." His words seemed unusual. Almost every Greek myth begins with a powerful god, a brave hero, or a terrible monster. But this one was different. It began with a road. Long before the great marble temples filled with visitors, there was a narrow stone path that crossed the hills of ancient Greece. It was not built for kings or soldiers. It was a quiet road used by shepherds, travelers, and storytellers who carried nothing more than a walking stick and a head full of old memories. As the years passed, the road slowly disappeared beneath soft grass and wildflowers. Rain smoothed its stones, trees stretched their roots across the path. Little by little, the earth covered it until most people believed it had never existed at all. The storyteller looked toward the dark mountains outside his window. "They forgot the road," he said softly, "and then they forgot where it led." At the end of that hidden path stood a small valley surrounded by tall cliffs. It was one of the quietest places in all of Greece. No busy markets echoed there. No armies marched through its fields. Only the gentle sound of a small stream filled the peaceful air as it flowed between smooth white stones. Olive trees grew along the hillsides, their silver leaves shining beneath the moonlight. Wild lavender covered the ground, filling the cool night air with a gentle fragrance. White birds rested beside the water, undisturbed by the passing of time. In the center of the valley stood a circle of ancient stone pillars. Unlike the great temples of Olympus, these pillars carried no grand statues and no golden decorations. They were simple, weathered, and quiet. Yet every stone was carefully placed, as though someone long ago had believed this small place was more important than any palace. No one knew who built it. No one remembered why. The storyteller slowly unrolled another small piece of the ancient scroll. "There are places," he said, "that were never made for crowds." According to the oldest whispers, travelers who reached this valley often felt something impossible to explain. The air seemed calmer, the wind moved more slowly. Even their footsteps became softer, as though the land itself wished to protect the silence. Some believed the valley belonged to forgotten spirits who guarded peaceful memories instead of treasure. Others believed it was watched over by gentle beings whose names had vanished long before the famous Olympian gods became known across Greece. Perhaps both stories were true, or perhaps neither was. The old storyteller never hurried to answer such questions. He believed mystery was part of every good story, and that some truths revealed themselves only to patient listeners. Outside, the stars continued their slow journey across the sky. The lantern beside the window flickered gently, casting warm light across the ancient scroll. Then the storyteller pointed toward a single drawing near the edge of the page. It showed a stone doorway standing completely alone. No walls, no temple, only a doorway. Above it was a strange symbol that did not belong to Zeus, Athena, or any god whose name survives today. The storyteller took a slow breath before speaking again. "They say," he whispered, "that whoever walked through that forgotten doorway never returned with gold. They returned with a story that changed the way they saw the world. And hidden somewhere beyond that silent doorway waited the next forgotten myth, one that history almost erased forever." The old storyteller fell silent. For a few peaceful moments, neither of you spoke. The only sound came from the little lantern beside the window. Its warm flame danced gently, sending soft shadows across the old stone walls. Outside, the night breeze moved quietly through the olive trees, as if the mountain itself were listening to the story. Finally, the storyteller looked up with a gentle smile. "Most people believe the greatest treasures of ancient Greece were hidden in temples filled with gold," he said softly. "But the oldest storytellers believed the greatest treasure could never be touched by human hands." He carefully rolled the scroll a little farther open. The drawing of the lonely doorway became clearer. There were no guards standing beside it. No walls surrounded it. No great palace had ever been built around it. It stood completely alone beneath a sky full of stars, waiting in perfect silence. Long ago, travelers believed that crossing the doorway was not the beginning of a journey across the land. It was the beginning of a journey through memory itself. Only those who entered with a peaceful heart could continue. Those who came searching for riches found nothing. Those who came searching for power turned back disappointed. But those who came carrying kindness, patience, and quiet curiosity discovered something far more valuable than treasure. The storyteller paused once again. He seemed to choose each word with great care. Behind that doorway, he whispered, there were no kings. There were no battles. There were no monsters waiting to attack. Instead, there was something much quieter, something that time almost erased. As the first morning stars slowly appeared above the mountains, the traveler stepped through the ancient doorway. At first, nothing seemed different. The same cool breeze touched the skin. The same moon still watched from above. The same distant sea could still be heard beyond the hills. But after only a few gentle steps, the world began to change. The air felt softer. Every sound became slower. The wind carried voices that sounded more like memories than words. Small stone paths appeared where moments before there had been only grass. Tiny streams reflected the stars so clearly that the sky seemed to flow beneath the earth. Every tree looked older than anyone could imagine. Every flower seemed to bloom without ever fading. It was a place where time no longer hurried. The traveler soon noticed something even stranger. People were walking through the quiet valley. An old woman carried a basket filled with fresh olives. A young fisherman slowly repaired his fishing net beside the water. Children laughed quietly as they chased white butterflies across the fields. A shepherd rested beneath an ancient oak while his sheep grazed peacefully nearby. None of them looked surprised to see a visitor. None of them seemed famous. Their names had never appeared in great poems. No statues had been carved in their honor. Yet every face carried a gentle feeling of peace. The storyteller smiled warmly. "History remembers kings," he said. "But life is remembered by ordinary people. For hundreds of years, these forgotten lives had quietly disappeared beneath the stories of powerful heroes. The brave soldier became famous. The mighty king became legendary. The great battles filled countless scrolls. But the peaceful people who planted olive trees, the mothers who sang children to sleep, the fishermen who greeted every sunrise, the old women who shared stories beside warm fires, almost no one remembered them, yet they were the heart of ancient Greece. The traveler slowly understood why this hidden place had been protected for so long. It was not hiding magical weapons, it was protecting forgotten lives. Every memory inside the valley was like a small light. As long as someone remembered the story, the light continued to glow. But whenever the world forgot another life, one tiny light quietly faded into darkness. The traveler looked across the peaceful valley. Thousands of little lights still shined between the trees. Thousands more had already disappeared. The storyteller gently closed his eyes. "People think history is made only by gods and heroes," he whispered, "but every forgotten life leaves behind a story. And every forgotten story takes a small piece of the world with it." The room became quiet once more. Outside, the stars continued their slow journey across the heavens. Inside the valley, beyond the mysterious doorway, one final light suddenly began to shine brighter than all the others. The storyteller looked toward it without saying a word. Still, after many centuries of silence, in the hidden valley, the oldest forgotten myth of the stars was finally ready to reveal itself. It did not flash like lightning, nor did it burn like a great fire. Instead, it glowed with a quiet warmth, like the first light of dawn resting on calm water. He smiled softly. "There is one last story," he whispered. It is the smallest of them all, yet perhaps it is the one our world needs the most. The traveler followed the gentle light until it stopped beside an ancient olive tree. Its wide branches stretched peacefully toward the sky, and its twisted trunk carried the marks of countless seasons. Tiny white flowers rested among the roots, while the cool night breeze carried the sweet scent of wild herbs across the valley. Beneath the tree sat a young girl. She wore simple clothes woven from soft linen. There was no golden crown upon her head. No shining armor rested beside her. No magical weapon lay in her hands. She was neither a queen nor a famous hero. She was simply listening. Birds rested quietly on the branches above her. A small fox slept peacefully nearby. Even the wind seemed to slow as it passed through the silver leaves. The traveler looked around with quiet surprise. "Who is she?" he asked. The old storyteller smiled. "No one remembers her name." For many years, people searched for stories about powerful kings and fearless warriors. They wrote songs about battles and victories. They built statues for heroes whose names would last forever. But almost no one remembered the girl who sat beneath this tree each evening and listened to every story she could find. The traveler watched as an old fisherman slowly approached the tree. His hands were worn from years upon the sea. He sat beside the girl and quietly shared a story about a calm morning when dolphins swam beside his small wooden boat. When he finished, he smiled, thanked her for listening, and peacefully continued on his way. A little later, an elderly woman arrived carrying a basket of fresh bread. She told a gentle story about planting olive trees with her family many years before. The young girl listened with the same careful attention, smiling as though every memory was a precious gift. One by one, travelers came: a shepherd, a potter, a baker, a mother carrying her sleeping child. None of them believed their stories were important, yet the girl listened to every word. She never hurried them, she never interrupted, she simply remembered. As the years passed, the people grew older, their footsteps became slower. Eventually, they disappeared into history, just as every life must one day do. But because someone had listened, their stories never truly vanished. The old storyteller gently closed the ancient scroll. "That," he whispered, "was the greatest gift in ancient Greece. Not the strength of Hercules, not the wisdom of Athena, not even the thunder of Zeus. The greatest gift was remembering one another." The traveler looked across the peaceful valley once more. The tiny lights that filled the fields no longer seemed mysterious. Each one was a memory. Each one was a forgotten life. Each one was a quiet story waiting for someone to listen again. At that moment, the traveler finally understood why the hidden doorway had never protected gold, jewels, or magical treasures. It had always protected something far more precious: the simple stories of ordinary people. Stories that made villages feel like home. Stories shared beside warm fires on cool evenings. Stories carried across gentle seas by patient sailors. Stories whispered beneath ancient olive trees while the stars watched silently above. The storyteller carefully wrapped the faded blue cloth around the old scroll once again. He tied the ribbon with slow, steady hands before placing it back upon its quiet wooden shelf. Outside, the eastern sky slowly began to brighten. The first birds welcomed the coming morning with soft songs. Golden light touched the mountain peaks, while the moon quietly faded behind the distant hills. The olive trees stood peacefully in the gentle breeze, just as they had for countless generations. The old storyteller looked toward the rising sun with a peaceful smile. "Perhaps," he said softly, "history never truly forgets. Perhaps it simply waits for someone kind enough to remember." For a long moment, there was only silence. A calm, comforting silence that wrapped around the mountains, the valleys, the rivers, and the ancient temples of Greece. And perhaps, somewhere beyond the edge of dreams, the forgotten storytellers smiled, knowing their gentle voices had been heard once more. Thank you for joining me on this peaceful journey through the Greek myths that history quietly forgot. If you enjoyed this relaxing story and would like to explore more forgotten legends from the ancient world, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Your support helps keep these quiet stories alive for future travelers. Now, let your thoughts drift as gently as the evening breeze through the olive trees. Let the stars watch over your dreams, let your breathing become slow and peaceful, and may the quiet whispers of ancient Greece carry you into a night of deep, restful sleep. Good night.